Hello and welcome to ALW Research Team. This is episode 2 of our Royal Air Force Hospital Nocton Hall Explore. This is a permission visit. To see episode 1, click the card above or see the link in the description box. Don't miss out, it was a great episode. Let's go for episode 2. So this is the squash courts. That's the squash courts area, and we're just going to go have a look at the fire station, which is up here. Vegetation's a little full today. See how the squash court's built up on stilts?
I know the squash court's been here at least since the 1950s.
We'll just have a look at the old fire station. Now, there's a photograph of a fire engine part there. Oh, I don't think... that says corrosive. So I don't think this was a fire station. This has been something else. Because it's a tanked room. So what could this have been? Plant store area maybe? For it been to be tanked. By tanking I mean this concrete edging. The old coat hooks. And an electrical point up there. Little office. Yeah, this to me is maybe a chemical store, like the base is chemical store, oil and grease store, something along them lines. Now there isn't any big drains that I can see in the floor, so they didn't decant things. This was just a store area for possibly batteries, like I said, oils and greases, chemicals, sort of thing. That's the remains of the door, quite rotten. Yeah, the corrosive sign and the tanking does paint a story of chemical stores to me. These were the squash courts built in the 1950s. A little view through the window. All the wood and latin. Now this has been abandoned since 1995. There is a property group that owns it, but by abandoned I mean not in use. And it's remarkable how quickly nature's taken over. And how fast the wood, things like that, have rotted away. Just have a quick look in the squash courts. Amazing. I love the decay, the way nature's taken it all back. It looks like, yeah, there was a viewing gallery up there, but the staircase is missing. And the staircase was there, you can see the mark where it was. And then I'll just poke you up there. This was the viewing gallery area, overlooking the squash courts. Now, that is the base of a Sangamo time switch, which is an electronic, mechanical timer for electrics. It turns lights on and off, things like that. And that was an electrical incomer. Got British Electric power outlets. And yeah, the wooden squash courts, I like those. I love the way the tree's grown in the middle. And the lights have got guards on them to stop the squash balls smashing them. That was pretty nice to see that. So we'll catch up with the tour. So this would have been a clear road. It's now all overgrown. Now we do have modern housing here. And then back to the old. This looks like an old store or a transformer room. Just in there. Yeah, it's been a electrical transformer in there. Or a grease store, because again the floor's bonded. and it's got a bund around it. So yeah, main intake switch. So this was a transformer room. So that was the main transformer for the entire base, would have been in this enclosure. And the transformers were cooled with oil. Air cooled the oil, and then the oil cooled the transformer. Now if the oil leaked out, it'd contaminate the ground, so you used to put them in bunded buildings like this. And a bund just acted like a bath around the outside to stop the oil leaking everywhere. That squash court looks amazing. So this was the medical centre for the airbase. Now, it's quite ironic that a hospital's got a medical centre, but the medical centre was for the nurses that got injured or anything like that, you know. And that was this building here. Looks like it's had a central plant somewhere, so we'll probably find a boiler room somewhere. That's like an incomer and outgoer for heating pipes. And you can see the medical grade floor, the rubber flooring that medical centres often have. You can see where, this was possibly where the reception was. This is all notices that have been on the wall. And this is the hatch that you go asked to go see, you'd like to see a medic. And then the staff would be in there. Old refrigerator. That's the back of the reception room. And these would have possibly very well been doctors' offices, and there's the sink there where he washed his hands after, he or she washed their hands after they'd dealt with someone medically. This looks like it was the pharmacy store room H34, I think that's just from decommissioning. Now, this looks like it had a safe in it, but that would have been for prescription medicine. That looks like it was the store. It's had a more chunky door on it as well. So that is from an old BCF fire extinguisher. BCF was a refrigerant that extinguished fires by depleting the oxygen within the room. That was a fire extinguisher on there. This looks like it was a plant room. There's been a boiler or something in that corner and a drain there. So this has been plant area. Hence the fire extinguisher also. And this was just a rear exit. That was the medical centre of this RAF base.
He did Ireland, Northern Ireland, you know, he did his tours in Northern Ireland. So, how they had the setup here, chairs facing that way, they had an aisle down the middle, they put a table in the aisle with a projector on it, facing those two black beams on the ceiling there. So they'll pull down the screen, that's where they'll pull down the screen to watch the films. So when Jaws came out, 1979, did that come out? They showed it here.
Yeah? Wow.
Yeah. And on the stage, do you remember New Faces on TV? Yeah. New Faces? Okay, now we have X Factor and things like that, don't we?
Oh, right.
New
Okay.
Faces, there was a young comedian, and his name was Lenny Henry.
Wow. Lenny Henry, the man of Premier Inns. Am I right in saying the Americans have put the new roof on? Like
This would have been an asbestos roof.
And they've replaced it with early Kingspan sheeting. Yeah. Make it watertight and thermally insulated. Now you can see up there the danger live wires. That's actually an American sign. Can you see that? There. The Americans have re-roofed a lot of these buildings with early Kingspan. And we're going to go in the backstage doors. And you can see the outline of where the stage was here. and then all the people would have been down that end facing this way. It's got a more, as you can see, more modern roof, and then where it's painted black, where they've had the projector for early movies. This was a back of house area, probably stores or changing rooms. Yeah, got hooks. This was the theatre. So many a nurse and RAF and US Air Force person would have walked up these steps to go watch a new movie or to go see an act on the stage such as Lenny Henry. We're going into a prefabricated area that's been added on to the medical wing.
I'm going to get you to guess what went on in these walls. I don't like to reveal things to people straight away because I'm telling you, 14 years I had to wonder what went on in these walls, and then I finally found out last year.
Sterilisation and prep room.
Why did you think that?
Tiled walls, all the desks and things, tiled floor. The sort of shape and layout.
Yep. What went in these 5 doorways? If it's the sterilisation department, what was placed inside these 5 doorways?
Oh, I can't remember what they're called. Autoclaves.
That's it.
Yeah,
Well
that's it. Yeah.
You're the first one that's got it, besides the person who worked here, and he told me what.
Really?
Because I had somebody on the tour last year that worked in these.
And then through here, got store area here,
So
big storeroom.
this is the sterilisation department. Well done, you.
Thank you. You must think I'm alright.
No, you're the first one that got it. That's great. I thought you'd like this, being a structural engineer.
Yeah, they are the first engineered joists I've seen from
We
this
might
era.
have something like that for our floors in the tower.
Yeah, engineered joists. They fit these in modern houses now, but they did used to make them in the olden days to save material.
But it's only on this side. I don't think, unless it's because we've still got the ceiling. Have they done it the other side as well?
Not sure. It's very structurally sound, so I'd imagine that they are. Yeah, that this will have engineered joists inside. So there would have been autoclaves in here, hence the large area of drainage at the back, like the sluice area.
We're going this way. And if you look left, you will get the look of the start.
The
of
stock
very long
area,
corridor that
stock
we're
and prep
entering.
area.
This is why we come in this way. Because you will get the chance to see the beauty of the quarter of a mile. It's not a mile, like some people think. It's a quarter of a mile long corridor. That is the central corridor that leads from one end of the site to the other.
Yep.
And you are not seeing the end.
Right in the
there.
skyline.
Watch out then.
Who are we talking about?
Yeah, that's the inbuilt swimming pool that we have now. Obviously, they had dome skylights here, which would have been worth a fortune, and they've been stolen and they've gone.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of this build, this was built in 1962. You've got the concrete ceilings, you've got the brick walls, and nobody falls down. I need you to go up there. We're going to go through those doors. When we go through those doors that used to say no entry, we will be stepping into the operating theatres.
The medical flooring. Now, a lot of the pipework's been removed, hence the grills are missing from the floor. So this is for filtered, clean air, bacteria-free air for operating theatres. There's some trunking above there, again for the clean air supply. And then with all these lights here, and this big, that's for the big light they pull down. And then this was an operating theatre here. Observation room for training. So there have been trainee nurses and doctors in there. This was a stock and prep area for the operating theatre. And then, have a look at that, that's a recovery room. So this is a recovery room before you went back to the high dependency unit. So this is the anaesthetist's room. This, through here, is one of the operating theatres. The mount for the big light, pull down light there. And then that's a backlit cabinet for the X-ray films. Then we've got, through there, that's a recovery room. And then this is another prep area here. Preparation of the medical equipment prior to the operation. Round here, there is some glass fronted cabinets where they used to keep anaesthetics, creams, things like that, in these glass cabinets.
So we're just going to head up here. There's an interesting room up here which held a mystery for quite a while, and since I've been doing the tours, the mystery has been solved.
Excellent.
Which is great, I love it.
So we've got the flat floors for medical trolleys, so they can wheel people along up that big corridor. In and out of the operation rooms and recovery rooms, through here, back onto the wings of this military hospital.
So what do you think this room should be for? Mr. Smarty Pants might guess.
Mr. Smarty Pants.
When patients slept, yeah, cold room or something, recreation or something, maybe.
No, where a patient slept, you say.
High dependency unit.
Because you would normally, like a ward, you would normally have windows in a ward.
That's true, yeah.
He's found a clue. He's found a clue.
Is that an airline?
It could be an airline or it could be a suction pipeline. There are 4 of them.
Oh, it's a
They're
plant.
all missing.
Looks like a machinery room almost. You know, with
Look
the
up at the rafters, Mr. I'm a structural engineer. Tell us the time period that you think this was probably constructed.
Right, this is for Gulf War One.
Well done. 80s. Late 80s. This actual room was built by the Americans. It wasn't here when the Air Force were using it as a hospital. The Americans built this because those twin operating theatres were not considered enough for the amount of casualties they were expecting. So they built this room as an operating theatre stroke ICU,
Yeah.
so that they could perform several operations at one time. So there's 4 bays here.
Yeah.
And obviously they've got the ICU. They never had an ICU at the hospital here. So this is a field operating theatre stroke ICU.
Yeah.
And I don't think it got much use. And if you look, when you looked at that pipeline, did you see the date on it?
I didn't see the date on it, no.
It's a date given on the stamp on the side saying January 89.
Oh yeah. Yes, that looks like an airline, compressed airline,
Yeah.
to a machine. I don't know what they'd use compressed air for.
If you
For each
notice
bay.
it's bays, because you've got 4 sockets, you've got ventilator and that, so there's 4 of them. So these would have been bays. And over here is likely where the sink was for scrubbing up. There's your waste pipe.
Scrubbing up.
There's brackets there, so they probably had a stainless steel sink for scrubbing up.
Yeah, will have been, yeah.
More than one surgeon can scrub up at the same time to receive those casualties. But as we know, we only had about 35 that came from the Gulf.
Yeah. They came back here. Yes, this actually, now you're saying it, reminds me of MASH. You know, the medical hospitals, the American.
The American that I've been in correspondence with that worked here, that's how he described it. He said this room is like in MASH.
So back onto the main corridor now.
So this section of the corridor that you're going to start walking down was built at the same time period as this was built. Okay. So you can see that because we've got the breeze blocks as opposed to the solid brick.
Yep.
And also, if you notice the windows, there are 2 large windows and 2 smaller ones, whereas
The metal frame,
the metal, yeah, and the metal frame windows on the old buildings, as we'll see, there are some down here, have got the 8 panels, 4 on each side. So a different time period that it was built, concrete ceiling again, a layer of brick on the outside for appearance. But we've still got several window frames still intact along here. So there's a lot of hidden things here.
There is.
And that's the interesting thing. It's very sad to see the place like this, but at the same time, it is part of its history. it's nice to be able to see some of the old history of it revealing itself after so many years as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to head down the corridor and we're going to have a look into Ward 3. As you come through those doors, you have entered the ward. So the first part of the ward is a corridor with rooms going off of it. So each of these rooms had a purpose, obviously, and I'm going to tell you the purpose behind each of the rooms. So this was the ward kitchen. They had a main kitchen for cooking the main meals, but they had a ward kitchen for making the teas and coffees and toasts and breakfast and, you know, sandwiches, whatever. That could all be done here, and snacks. Opposite the kitchen, we've got a treatment room. So if you needed your stitches taken out, you'd be taken into the treatment room. Next to the treatment room, you've got the linen stores. So all the linen for the beds and etc. would be linen towel. Opposite the linen stores, you've got a room that the nurses would use to put the coats and bags, etc. And to have a wicker chair in there to sit on, to put the feet up for a few minutes, whatever. So that was the nurses' room. Next to the nurses' room, you've got the sluice room. So you would have had the sink there, the toilet round the corner for cleaning out those lovely bedpans, which a lot of nurses these days, oh, I've got a degree, I don't want to do that. So that was the sluice room. Then you had two side wards. And that's one of the wards, and this is the other ward. One bed would be in a side ward, so one in one room. And then you had two bathrooms, literally, a bathroom, no showers. So that's your bathroom facing that way. You'll see a little window. So she could keep an eye out from her desk at the actual dormitory part of the ward. You'll notice she had a big notice board up there, and there's also cupboards on the wall there with another cupboard inside a cupboard that they would keep the controlled drugs under lock and key. That was all in the sisters' office. Then these here, you would have had rubber doors that you would push open straight into the... every single day, Monday to Saturday, they moved the beds from that side, cleaned the floor, put it back, moved the beds from that side, cleaned the floor, put it back, and then they cleaned down the middle. So the floor got cleaned 6 days a week, and they rested on a Sunday. They had a dining table down the middle. You could eat in the bed if you weren't well. Treated like an officer. You were given the rank of officer, whatever, if you're civilian, but you were still expected to sit to attention, etc. So she ran a tight ship, but the place was kept very clean. So this is Ward 3, male surgical. Ward 4 was male medical. Ward 5 was ear, nose and throat. So my husband had his tonsils taken out here when he was 7.
Well, it was bought for the hospital.
Yes.
In the First World War, Second World War. Then the British military didn't need it because we did Crown War.
Yes.
And then it was given to the Americans. And then from the Americans it went to the British.
Yep.
And then from the British back to the Americans for the Gulf War. And then sold.
So that was around about 1977, 78, depending when. Well, the only thing he remembered, besides them giving him toast when his throat was red raw,
Yeah, he told me that. I remember him saying that now.
was that he wanted ice cream and they gave him toast.
Toast. Nice.
The only thing he remembers besides that is that there wasn't any other children being treated in the hospital at the time he was here. So it was highly unlikely he was put in the children's ward because they wouldn't normally have you on your own. So the likelihood is that if this was still ear, nose and throat, the likelihood is that he was in here with the adults.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have really any recollection of when, where he was. So this was ear, nose and throat, same layout as the other one.
So we're walking through the wards at the minute. They've all got similar layouts, but they're all for different things like ear, nose and throat. There was a maternity ward, there was a children's ward, there was an officer's ward, and a female ward.
Where the incubators would be, this was where the babies that maybe were underweight or whatever would be on that side, but all the healthy babies would be on this side, and the mothers would sleep in the Nightingale ward in here.
And the windows are double glazed.
Double thickness. So viewing windows, because you weren't allowed in there, and the nurses would bring, the nurses would bring the mothers in here every 4 hours, so if you're sleeping 3 hours time, you had to wait 4 hours before they would bring you to your mother to be fed. That's how it was back then. Now babies stay with their mothers in the same room and we feed on demand. That's what I do with all mine, fed on demand. So yeah, so this is where the mothers would have gone. Again, they had the same system. They would first be brought into here. On the first day, not after delivery, you could sit in bed and eat. On the second day after delivery, you'd sit in the chair next to your bed and eat.
Thanks for watching till the end, viewers. I really do appreciate it. Please subscribe, pressing the little circle on the screen now if you haven't done already. And I'll see you for part 3 on Thursday next week, which is the third and final part of this hospital explore. And why not watch this video in the rectangle above? Link for part 1 in the description box. Bye bye for now, viewers.